benefits most from using assessments in employee selection? Now, obviously, everyone benefits. If you use them, you will get some value from them. But there are at least three key variables in my experience that really determine how much return on investment you get. The first and perhaps most important variable is just the volume of applicants. Just how many people are you going to test? Because the more people you test, the more selective you can be, and thus the more return on investment you get. And if you have 1,000 applicants for 10 roles, you can push the envelope and just pick literal geniuses and cognitive ability, or with behavioral assessments, the most resilient, hardworking, emotionally intelligent people you can get. Whatever value you get from assessments is maximized by just having more of those things. Okay, so that's the key thing. The greater the volume of applicants, just the more return on investment. And as a result, if you only have like a handful of candidates for quite a number of roles, there's almost no point because you're going to have to hire them. The ball is kind of not in your court. Realistically, you just have to accept what you can get. And that's a problem unto itself. But it means that the best you could hope for is just avoiding the worst hires. Okay. The next issue is the value of performance itself. In some roles, it just sort of doesn't matter that much. Either you can kind of do the job or you can't. There isn't a great deal of value of being a super high performer. For example, very routinized, simple work. Whereas in sales, in law, in engineering, in finance, and cognitively complex work, generally speaking, the value, the premium of performance is extremely high, in that you could spend tens of thousands hiring the right person and get hundreds of thousands or more in return on investment in their performance. And so in those roles, it makes particularly strong sense to be using assessments because every little bit of performance prediction helps. If you just improve your quality of hire by a fraction of a percent, it more than covers the cost of the assessments that you have. And as a result, some roles, it just doesn't make that much of a difference. Where the cost of underperformance and the premium of performance is particularly low, it's a weaker use case. And finally, and this is something people often don't consider, is that you often get a lot more value from assessments when you have a dedicated talent acquisition team, a dedicated early careers team, a dedicated lateral hiring team, people who are specialized in this, as opposed to being very decentralized, where it's just individual hiring managers doing recruitment. When that is the case, it's very hard to work strategically with assessments, to use them for everyone, to have consistent pass marks and cut scores, to use the information moving forward, keeping track of it, analyzing it. You can't do that if it's in a million different places. So I find that the people who benefit most overall are people who have higher volumes of applicants. Okay, often the case with something like, say, a grad scheme. And indeed, on a grad scheme, the value of a high performer is particularly high. And the cost of underperformance is very high as well because of the training requirements and the investment in the person. And indeed, in an organization where this is happening, there is often a dedicated talent acquisition team, particularly likely to be a dedicated early careers team. That is the ideal use case. Those people get the most from assessments. Those people benefit most from using them in selection, and they often make the most use of the data moving forward.